Luna Ascending by Zaina Wilder. Copyright Zaina Wilder 2024. All rights reserved. Chapter 13. Freya. Groaning, I try to force open one eye. This is the equivalent of my worst ever hangover, multiplied by going a boxing round with a giant, and then sticking my head in a hornet's nest. My mouth is furry, my ears are buzzing, and the light creeping past my eyelids is stabbing my brain like a sword. I grunt, remembering the buffoon and his stupid sword trick. Everything from that point on floods back in a rush, and I sit bolt upright. Bile rushes into my mouth, and I retch, again and again. I don't ever remember feeling so weak. Squinting up against the harsh ceiling light, I peer around the room. The plushly lined room is filled with books. My groaning causes the small group of people talking excitedly a few metres away to turn toward me en masse. I recognise a few faces from the evening's introductions, but my muzzy brain can't put names to them. A tall, thin gentleman strides over, puffing on a delicate black cigarette. "You're awake, you little witch!" For such a skinny man, his voice is so loud it goes through me, and I inadvertently flinch, covering my ears. "I've never seen this coven so alarmed it couldn't even track the source of a disturbance." I blink. My hearing seems fine, if painful, but I can't make sense of his words. I start to shake my head, but quickly stop. My damn brain is rattling inside my skull. I peer suspiciously at the man. Is this a dream? It's a bloody weird one. And why does he not seem angry if I've caused chaos? I guess dreams don't need to make sense. "I wonder what else you can do," he muses, looking at me like some sort of exotic experiment. The rest of the room crowds over, all talking at once. I try to get up, backing away. The wave of pain is so extreme, I'm convinced this can't be a dream. Surely only being awake could hurt this much. Seeing my disbelief, the small group ushers me slowly back into the ballroom. It's been cleared of guests. I look around in shock. All of the magnificent chandeliers are destroyed. Bits of crystal are strewn everywhere. The nearest windows are smashed, and there isn't a whole wine decanter in sight. "You think I did that?" I gasp, utterly bewildered. Mark suddenly appears at my elbow and steers me back into the safety of the library. He's not exactly the first person I want to see, but at least he's a familiar face. Very slowly, he explains the events of the past hour, using little words and leaving lots of gaps for my brain to catch up. "There's no sugarcoating that will make this easier for you. The truth is, you're a witch. You may not have known it before tonight, but it's a fact," Mark states calmly. "You overreacted to some bimbo coming on to me. It set off a surge in your emotions and your magic, which caused the whole fiasco in the ballroom." He looks at me approvingly. "I have to say, that was some show of power, ma chérie. I'm rather touched you care enough to be so jealous." I can't really grasp the enormity of what he's saying, and instead focus on my upset. The asshole was 100% a willing participant in that kiss. "I'm not jealous. Anyway, you were as much into it as she was," I snap. He bats me away with another bombshell. "Your energy surge," he explains, ignoring my hissy fit about the Countess. "It caused our guests severe pain, hospitalised a few, and shattered all the glass within your aura field." Unable to retort, I blink at him stupidly. I suddenly recall all the guests clutching their heads and writhing around. Wait, what if his crackpot theory is correct? Does he really believe I caused all this chaos? Why is he so calm? And yet, it sort of makes sense. My head's so full of contradictions, I can't form a sentence. Look, Freya, you remember telling me about all the faulty lights and electrics going wrong at your work? Didn't it seem a tiny bit weird when it started happening at home too? I peer at Mark, feeling incredibly thick, my mind playing over each of the incidents. Things did always go haywire when I was at my most emotional, or when my migraines were at their worst, but I'd assumed the cause and effect were the other way around. What if he's right? What if I caused it all? My mind flicks over the episode this week where my bookcase spontaneously emptied itself on the floor. I'd put it down to nearby building works causing tremors, the building's subsidence, or something. I couldn't fully explain it. And my brain had promptly ignored it. And the grumpy school caretaker, bitching about electricians who didn't know their ass from their elbow, pops into my head. Shit, he was right. It wasn't a power surge. It was me. Or was it? This is make-believe, surely. I can't understand these fully grown adults all agreeing with straight faces that I'm a witch. A witch? Holy hell. Dirk's words float back into my head, unbidden. He called me a witch too, didn't he? Did he work out what I was that night? It's all too much. Way, way too much, and I burst into mortifying tears. Mark's calm face among the excited ones is my only rock. He gently suggests that perhaps not knowing what I was meant my powers had nowhere to go and so just built up, causing migraines and all the weird shit to happen. To be fair, right now, it's about as reasonable an explanation as any. Holding my hand, Mark reintroduces himself. Frère Fay, I am formally known as Marcel de Vaudou, first son and heir apparent of the coven of Madame la Comtesse de Vaudou and Monsieur le Comte de Vaudou. He gestures towards the thin man with the French cigarettes and a rather severe-looking, high-cheekboned woman beside him. I gulp. I hadn't realised his parents were here, or that they were nobility. Then it hits me. He said coven, as in witch coven. They're all witches. We're all witches. Mark pulls a leather-bound monstrosity of a book towards us, flicking it open at a bookmarked page. See this. His finger stabs the page excitedly. Does it seem familiar, ma chérie? My eyes glide over the picture and focus on the text. Yggdrasil, I sound out. Mark, I don't understand. Why are you showing me this? He tisks in my ear. You're not looking, Freya. Look! My fingers trace the shape of the rune in the middle of the page. It's elegantly beautiful and somehow very familiar. Holy shit. It's my birthmark. Why do you have my mark in a book? Mark looks at me askance, and his father smoothly interrupts. Well, that's a novel way to look at it, young lady. I'd have asked you why you have a tattoo of Yggdrasil on your neck. But my son here assures me that despite how it looks, it started out as a birthmark. How it looks now? I shoot across the room and stare into the ornate mirror in panic. The damn thing has changed again. Mark's father is right. My birthmark looks like a tattoo. It looks exceptionally permanent. I rub my neck in frustration, turning back to the little group. What the hell does it mean? You can't seriously expect me to believe I'm a freaking witch, that you're witches, that this damn mark on my neck is out of some magical book of... I flick it over to read the front. Magical book of prophecies. Well, to be blunt, yes. Mark looks a little remorseful as he ploughs on. I had an idea what you were, who you were when I saw your rune, I mean your birthmark. I frown, and he continues, choosing his words carefully. I just didn't know what was keeping you latent, Freya. What was keeping your powers suppressed. I thought maybe here, in among the coven, on magic grounds, and with a little prompting, you might finally express your magic. You were right, croons the Countess at her son. The sneaky shitbag. He set me up. He didn't just come and tell me, he set me up. Like some little science experiment so that he could show me off to his family. I'm furious, and it must show on my face, because a few of the guests take shuffling steps away from me, alarmed. You tricked me? You should just have told me, Mark. Ma chérie, it doesn't quite work like that. Not when your magic has been suppressed for so long. I glare at him, but bite my tongue. I've no idea what's true or not anymore. He could be right. He's probably right. Shit. So, what does it mean? I start. Why do you not have a massive brand on your neck? Will this fade? I should hope not. The Comtesse looks offended at the suggestion. It's a sign. You're heiress, or rather a descendant. Don't wish your destiny away, girl. Bewildered, I turn to Mark, and he drapes an arm around my shoulders. It's a lot at once, Freya. The race of the heiress, they've not existed for millennia. The Yggdrasil marks you as a descendant, one of the last to express the runes. When an heiress is born, they're destined, in some way, to change what is happening in the world. The modern translation of heiress would be chosen. There have not been many. And that you've come to us, to the coven, well, that is a sign in itself. Oh, that's all, huh? My attempt at flippancy falls flat. The group of faces peering at me looks briefly confused, before returning to jabbering away at each other excitedly. The reality of the bizarre situation swamps my brain, and my vision swims. Mark's arm tightens around me, and I sink into him. It's all so alien, so overwhelming. My breathing speeds up erratically. I can't make sense of anything. It's all too much. My chest constricts, and I'm suddenly fighting for each and every breath. Mark takes hold of the sides of my face, forcing me to look at him, calming me, talking me through taking deep inhalations and slow exhalations. I'm so glad he's here. Everyone else is looking at me like I'm some fascinating project. Mark presses a tonic into my hands, something he's made himself, something to help take the edge off. The nasty, bitter taste has me gagging, but it works quickly, and soon I'm more relaxed. I'm so relaxed I can't feel my fingers or my toes. A glorious numbness soaks over me, and I doze off.